IU,
And it's
and I
all-
work nights, so
And I
she'd
thought I'd-
sit next to me on the couch and she'd dad.
So I was
Watch.
maybe
watch,
going
Caillou,
to-
Caillou. Dad, watch.
And I asked Haley if she could, and we're state testing this week, asked if she could come.
Well, it's gonna be hard to watch that.
State testing like at 11. And so I put in for her and it came back.
Minutes spare,
We got like 30 minutes back.
unless we go by that clock.
Yeah, we go with
I did text her.
that. Was a little- First time I did this, I did it way too loud. The call to order this regular meeting of the school board at 5:30 PM. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, you can call the roll.
Wheeler. Here.
Barge.
Here.
Sluter.
Here.
Kilgore.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Swint.
Here. We have a forum, we may.
I didn't need to call the other person, right?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to our mission and vision. Our mission is to inspire and prepare students for the next level of education, work, and life. Our vision is to foster student growth and build trusting partnerships between students, staff, family, and community. And education at WBSD number 7 will support our students' intellectual, social, and emotional growth. We will provide students with an innovative curriculum supported by various co-curricular activities. The outcome of our efforts will empower students to make a difference in their community and world. We believe in providing a safe environment where healthy relationships and student growth are priorities. Moving on to item number 2, adopt the agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We can move on to item number 3, showcasing schools. Today we have the Garden Valley School presentation. Mrs. Hazer?
Hey, everybody. I am Lindy Hazer. I'm the principal at Garden Valley Elementary. This is my 3rd year there. And we're going with this theme 3 years running. Garden Valley is going places. And throughout the presentation, I'll explain why we are still using that same theme year after year. I'm clicking.
It's a little slow.
Okay. All right, our flight plan for the presentation, I'm gonna go over demographics, what's new, academics, innovation, school culture. And starting with demographics, it is really. Okay. We are up 30 students from last year, enrollment of about 210. It stayed about that all year. Every room in our building is full. That is like max capacity for us. You can see there our average class size is around 19. Some stats I kind of want to highlight is our special education students. So that would be students on IEPs, whether that be speech or SLD, we're at 20%. And then we are a Title I school and our free and reduced percentage is 35.81. Going on to staff, we have 17 certified staff. We have a long-term sub in the 4th grade, 14 classified staff, and then a certified para in the library. And those 2 people that are kind of teaching on that alternate route are people who have been with us, kind of growing our own from para. And they're currently going to school to be teachers. Something kind of unique about our staff is of those 17 certified staff, 4 of our teachers are J1 teachers from the Philippines. So that's 4 out of our 11 sections. 3 years ago, that filled like a huge need for positions in our district, but we found it to be a great blessing and joy. In our school, they provide that cultural exchange. Our students have learned about a place that they wouldn't have even probably known on a map before. And they have many varied talents to provide to us. Like they're leading a dance at an assembly. Their decorating skills, their creativity, and how they bring it into the classroom has just been extraordinary for us. But we're also building district and building leaders. 2 of them serve on leadership teams within the district, and Miss Ivy, who's here, is actually on the district Vital Network team as well. And with Title I funds, I was able to provide some J1 coaching since we no longer have instructional coaches. So I have a coach who's coming in and doing some coaching with those teachers. Some things that are new at Garden Valley is we added 5th grade a year before most other schools. All the buildings were painted this year. 3 years ago, they were painted just the front of the buildings, and it was sort of a hodgepodge. It looked a little rough, but they're all gray with green trim. It really has brought, you maybe can't see it so well in the picture, but I don't know which, I think it was, one of the soups was out a couple of weeks ago and commented on how nice it does look. And then our PTO added the vinyl put-in cups to the fence just to kind of really finish it off and makes it look like a school where kids are present and attending. And then we added Mrs. Carson, our school counselor. Before we didn't have a counselor in building, we kind of shared with other schools. So we do share Mrs. Carson half-time with Bell Easton, and that has been great for our students. With adding 5th grade, this group is a little special to us because since they were in 2nd grade, they have been the oldest students in the building because we have added on a grade every year since 2022. So they've learned a lot of leadership skills as they've grown. They are little paras. They go out twice a week into the school and do jobs. They connect with kids. They lead our morning announcements on Google Meet with me. And then if we could go to that video. So it's been fun to watch them grow into their leadership skills. 5th grade teacher sent me a video here. You'll see when we do a thing on Fridays called Great Grizzlies, where I call students to the office who've gotten a Great Grizzly card. And I read the card, what the teacher said about them, and then they get to come make a positive phone call home. And on this day, we got a little behind and students were unable to have time to come to the office, and they did this all on their own.
Helen, Isabella in 1st grade, Romeo in 1-8. All right, Barb.
So we, at assemblies, we do something called one clap. Anytime anyone is announced to come up or receives a noticing award, we give them all one clap. And so they were sitting in their classroom. We ran through the list of names who needed to come make up makeup calls in the office, and they are all doing one clap on their own. Teacher didn't prompt them. No one else prompted them. They are just being the upstanders, being the leaders. So I have a couple of quotes of what they've learned about leadership and why they like having these positions in the school. So Damien said, I learned that to be a leader, you have to be an upstander. Sophie said, my favorite part of being a little para is getting to see the kids, being able to connect with them and be part of their class family. Haley said, I learned that leadership can be hard at times. You have to be patient. Rowdy said, I learned to be a leader. It takes knowledge and understanding everyone. It takes more than telling things. You have to protect your group. And Connor said, leadership is a privilege, not a right. Now the rest of the presentation, we'll talk about Garden Valley and the strategic plan. Starting with academics. So this year, we're encouraged to use Navi. It's a platform in the NDA Plus Launchpad system, and it's assessments that can be given as formative checks at the end of lessons. So Mrs. Smith, our 5th grade teacher, has been using it. She's in a pilot with Mrs. Halstead, and she's using it to teach and reinforce using direct instruction. There's a learning library that goes with it, and that way the lessons are as rigorous as the state test would be. We're using it to plan and create win groups, and she's taken what she's doing and shared it with the 3rd and 4th grade teachers. So it's that cycle of improvement that's happening. And there you can see, I think we've finished almost 3,000 Navi checks. And this data comes from Mrs. Halstead, and it shows that the 5th graders at our school who are in this Navi pilot compared to the other 5th graders in the district. And this, she's also doing it with 6th and 8th graders as well, are performing students who increased at least one level. So these are the students in the Navi test group and the students who are, their teachers are not using Navi. So you can see it's a 12% increase of increasing at least one level on NDA plus in reading and 14% in math. Something else we did this year to kind of boost academics was during the Winter Olympics, we held our Grizzly Games. It was something new we did this year where we had events in academics, attendance, and behavior. And so for our academic event, we used the Navi checks that I just talked about. For attendance, we kept track of classes that had 92% or better attendance and they got to fill in Olympic rings. And then for behavior, we kept track of acts of empathy because that was our conscious discipline focus of the month. So 83 rings were filled and 444 acts of empathy were noticed in that 3-week time span. And here you can see our opening and closing ceremonies. We had national anthem, our speech and language pathologist sang the anthem for us. We had a parade of classes. So just a way to bring our school family together and focus on some areas we wanted to see some improvement in. Our students take Ames Web 3 times a year, and here's our Ames Web data in reading and math. So in reading, we had an increase of from 53 to 65 in tier 1, and a decrease of students in tier 3 from 41 to 33. And then in math, an increase of students in tier 1 from 47 to 78, and a decrease in tier 3 students from 51 to 20. Our NDA plus data, this is from fall to winter. The areas with the star are areas where we surpass the state average. And so in reading, 5th grade had an increase of 21 points. And 5 out of our 6 grades showed growth. 4th grade kind of stayed about the same, but that was an area where they were already above the state average. And we all know that testing is just one moment in time. And then in math, our 3rd grade grew 25 points from fall to winter, but all grades there showed growth. Going on to the innovation pillar, this is kind of a 6-prong approach. It just wouldn't all fit on one slide. So to tackle innovation in our school, we use our travel days, hence our theme, Garden Valley is going places. Classroom room transformations, our gateway to science lessons where they come in from Bismarck. Our daily pause announcements, I talked about that Google Meet announcement we start the day with. Little paras, those 5th graders going out into the building and doing jobs. And then our service learning projects. So 3 times a year, our school holds travel days where in the morning, this school does in-flight activities in their classroom. They board the plane, they have a passport, they have a boarding pass. And this year we've traveled to all of those places. I think it's like 14 different places, or will by the end of the year. We do have one coming up in May. And we have, as it goes on, we need more and more presenters. And so we're partnering with parents, people in the community. And the last 2 years we've partnered with the middle school, and they have a classroom to community class where students prepare a presentation and then they come up and share with the elementary students. Our classroom transformations all actually took place last week. Every teacher or grade level picked a different theme and centered all their learning around that for the day. So last week we had Glow Day, we had Space, which really tied in nice what was going on in current events. We had a circus, a carnival. 5th grade did baking to tie in with the 5th grade bread fair. That was actually in February. 3rd grade did an ice cream shop, and 2nd grade did our Disney Day. With Title I money, we have the Gateway to Science Center from Bismarck coming in, and they're doing quarterly science and STEM lessons with our kids. They're able to get to all the sections throughout the day. But when our kids come on those days, they're like, is it science today? Because if you've heard a lot of these board presentations, you know that there's the huge focus on math and reading just because we have to get those scores up. And so sometimes I feel like those more engaging things like science sometimes fall to the wayside. So this is a nice way to bring it in quarterly for our students. Every morning, our students lead the daily pause with me, and if I'm not there, they do it without me. They do a phenomenal job following our script. Here's a little prank they pulled on me where they all showed up with little hazer faces. I didn't know it was happening, but it's neat when my door is open. I can hear them saying the pledge all with me. I can hear them doing our Grizzly Girl. I can see them taking the breath. doing all our things in unison that we do to unite. It's a really nice way to start the day. Here you can see some of our little paras doing their tasks at the beginning of the year. They produced a video of our school expectations. There are greeters in the morning. They stand by door 1 and door 7 and greet the students as they come in with high fives or however they want to be greeted. And then on Mondays and Fridays are the days they go out into the classrooms to help. And then our service learning projects. Here's one from last year where 3rd grade, they raised some money. I think they sold beaded necklaces and then they bought a buddy bench for the playground. And here you can see it actually being utilized on the first day of school. Last pillar is school culture, and this is kind of our school culture puzzle. It takes all of these things to come up with our vital network results at the end. Our Grizzly gatherings, which are assemblies, all events for students, whether that be at school or after hours with PTO and family. As a staff, we do a lot of things with potlucks, games. Pranks have been huge this year. There have been a lot of pranks on Mrs. Hazer. Staff outings, and then we've been doing some underground spirit weeks. Conscious discipline and bar are parts of our school culture journey, as well as those positive contacts with home. And then the staff appreciation is big in our building. And I've been trying to appreciate people like using, all the different ways. And words of affirmation is one of them. And I felt like for, last couple of years, it was like just on me to do. And this year it was fun. We had a particularly hard week and I had a teacher text me and said, hey, tomorrow can I do these? You're a ray of sunshine, and put them outside everyone's door. And by the end of the day, everyone's paper was filled with positive things about their teaching or their classroom. And I'm like, that's culture. That's transferring from me to the other staff members. So here is our monthly Grizzly gatherings. We have a conscious discipline focus of the month, and that's the order we cover them in. And then at the end of the month, we notice students who have exhibited that focus, and they're all non-academic. And you could say maybe they're character building, but one of them is consequences. That's this month. And so that actually might be for a student who's made some mistakes, but they're learning from them and they're willing to go back and try to do things in a new way. Our older kids are performing, whether it's ukulele, bucket drum, and we're playing those student and staff games. And that's another place where the 5th graders are able to be leaders. We have them playing the paras or the teachers at the various assemblies. Here's just some of our fall events that took place at Garden Valley. Again, our travel days kind of being one of the main big ones. And we couldn't do any of these things without PTO's involvement and help. They just recently sponsored art classes by the James Memorial Art Center. We did ask parents who were able to sponsor a child for $10, and then the PTO will pick up the rest of the students who weren't able to do that. We are ending this year with a Happiest School on Earth fun run. Just as a way to kind of culminate, our school family is changing a lot with the boundaries, and we wanted to have a way to honor that. So we're doing lunch and camels and all the fun stuff that day. Here's kind of just some of the things that have happened, school culture, just to increase morale, let staff know they're appreciated. We are in year 2 of being a bar school. I'm sure you, looking at other presentations, you've heard a lot about the bar process, but here's what it looks like in a smaller school. Just staffing wise with less people, we were really in tune to all of the things about the students, but was having a spreadsheet and putting it in a formal way. So our small block meets every other week for 60 minutes. Same as our big block, we meet every other week. So we have staff meeting one week, big block the other. And then our Community Connect, just with having a smaller student body, is currently meeting once a month. But if we do have a concern, we can get the team together to meet again. And then here's our U-Time lessons. We structured the schedule this year so that K2 and 3-5 were on the same lesson. We found at times the volume that we're on got the lessons off, but we were trying to do it school-wide so that the same lesson was going on within the building, whether you were in kindergarten or 5th grade. And that was actually one of our goals with bar, is those school-wide bar lessons. And so we have a staff wall where staff members are also doing that lesson, either by popping into a classroom if they're not a homeroom teacher, or they can do it on their own and then display it on our wall. With VAR, positive communication with parents was one of our main goals, and we do that through the noticing awards that you saw in the assembly, our Great Grizzly calls that we do on Fridays, and that's what the fifth graders were clapping about. And then we set a goal for ourselves by the end of the first quarter, we wanted to make positive contact with each parent. Attendance is an area where we struggle at our school. We have a very high percentage of chronically absent students. We struggle to know what to do about it and what's going to help improve it. We've been doing attendance meetings all year with our school social worker, me and the family. And then after February, when we did our Grizzly games, we added in an incentive. And so we're currently doing an incentive puzzle. And so if you have 92% attendance, you can add one puzzle piece, 100% adds two. And then they're working towards extra recesses, popsicle parties, things like that. Conscious discipline is still a huge part of our school culture. We're on year 4 of implementation, answering those questions. Am I safe? Am I connected? And am I able to problem solve? Our social worker did, at the end of every focus month, she has the kids draw a picture of what that means to them. And so this is a second grader's visual of the brain states. So I think for a second grader, that's pretty cool. They have all 3 brain states, and that when you're in each state, what you can do. You can think, you can learn, you can solve problems. And then the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is one of the connection activities that our 5th graders go out and do on Mondays and Fridays with the students who need extra connection. And all of those things lead to our vital network results. This is on a 7-point scale. You can see all of our averages are in the upper 5s to 6s. We did notice some things when our team looked at the results is some good things. We had 100% participation from our staff both times this year, but we noticed the teacher scores were higher than the paras. Our veteran scores were higher than new staff, but overall we have a great culture to celebrate. And so some things we decided to do is include a teacher on our leadership team. We needed to tighten up our behavior tiers and our referral process, which I think has helped with maybe like some of the frustration that was coming up in comments. We needed to take time to celebrate. And so now every weekly email I end with reply all with your celebration. And so staff is doing that. And then they're also leaving sticky notes on my door, like Jason passed addition rocket map and he's ready for subtraction. So almost every day we're having a new celebration to celebrate on our daily pause announcements. And the kids love that. And then that's where you see them celebrating each other. Before I even say give them a round of applause, you can hear the applause in the hallway. And then whenever possible, we're using those early out and PD days as like a teacher choice board because our time management area was one of the weaker areas where we have teachers have so much on their plates, but they don't have a lot of time to carry out the things we expect from them. So I kind of give them an outline of like, hey, here's the expectations that are coming up. Now you have time to work on it. So this is the last slide, and all of these things that I've talked about contribute to our school family. Here you can see like we dress a lot of the time, whether it's planned or on accident. We have fun together. In October, my son actually transferred out to Garden Valley, and it must have been a week of a prank or something was going on. And in the car, he's like, "Mom, why do you guys laugh so much? You laugh too much." And I'm like, "No, that means we're having fun. We love what we do. We love where we work. And we love doing it all together." So that is our school family. Questions?
Board members, any questions?
I have a question and a comment.
Mrs. Wu?
So, start with the harder one. So the reason for all the attendance issues, is there an overwhelming theme?
So that was a bar. That is one of the things we've tried to look at is like, what is the root cause? In some cases, I would say the attendance meetings have been helpful and we've been able to come with one. Other times I feel like it's just we're just so sick. And there has been a lot of illness. I do think sometimes transportation to the school can be difficult. And so that's when we work with like district office. But it's not really like one underlying thing. And it seems like kindergarten is where our data is the lowest.
Okay.
And that's hard because it's not required. And, we've scheduled some attendance meetings and then in talking with social worker, we're like, okay, how is it impacting them? A lot of times the students are still doing well. And so one of the things we've talked about in attendance meetings, because we know there are varying factors and things leading to these attendance issues. Okay, when you have to be gone, can we set up a system for accountability? For the parents and the students, you know, so like, is that a makeup work folder? Is that a parent square message? And then communicating to parents that not all learning can be made up in the form of worksheets, because that's not really how learning is anymore.
Correct.
So I would say it's varied. I struggle with the incentive things because I feel like the kids who come to school can come to school, and then the kids who don't kind of, so that's why we're trying to do it whole class. So it's not needling down on individual people.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate
But I
it.
don't think we've done it long enough to see if it's going to improve things.
Okay, all right. That makes sense. I know I've said this before when you've presented, I love your travel days.
Mhm.
I think that is such a neat way to incorporate other parts of the world into a learning activity for the students to be able to learn about another culture and various things that people do in other parts of the world. So I think that that is absolutely phenomenal.
That's why we do it. We haven't run out of countries yet, and now kids are saying, oh, we haven't, like, for example, they're like, we haven't done the Philippines. Like, why haven't we done it? We have teachers from there. Well, we did it 3 years ago, but some of our students wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
And so we'll keep doing it till it gets old.
Well, if you ever need somebody to do South Africa, you can call me.
Okay, perfect.
Board members?
Just a comment. You know, I second Mrs. Wheeler's comments. I think that the interactive education emphasis is amazing. You can definitely see there's a concentrated effort on making learning fun. And the travel days, the Grizzly games, huge supporter of that. Being like just personal story, like if I was able to study abroad in college and I would have never moved to Williston if I didn't have that experience. I wouldn't have considered it. So being able to travel changed my life and it exposed me to different cultures. It helped me understand that people are people everywhere, but the differences are actually good. And so I love that. Wanted to give some kudos there.
Members?
Yeah.
Ms. Kohler?
Yeah, I, like Heather had, the attendance question, but I just wanted to basically I think sharing some of your things and you participate or sharing some of the students' testimonies on leadership, I love that. That's some of my favorite. I just love hearing what kids think and I appreciate you, bringing that to us. And then like her as well, like the trips, the travel plans, like that's so fun and creating that experience of getting on a plane or creating passports, like that's such a fun experience. And then I love how you notated as well on the behavior and how there are 444 acts of empathy noticed. That's tremendous and I love hearing that. So I appreciate you sharing that. I took so many notes. I appreciate you presenting today, so thank you.
As always, thank you so much. We love these times. This is when we get to hear what's going on in our buildings. 2 questions for you. Outside of the attendance, we know that's an issue across the district. What do you think the greatest roadblock is in your building right now, other than the attendance that we can help you with?
I think it's just been change. We're starting to hear it come up a lot from students too, like our student body is changing tremendously. I started to kind of drop the percentage down, but I think 72 students are staying. So that's a big change in makeup and we're hearing kids coming and saying like, I'm not going here next year, I'm worried. And so we've just been working with Tara, with our conscious discipline coaching for admin on how to honor. Yes, you're going to a new school and celebrating that, but honor what was created in our school. And so that's where a lot of, I think, our time and attention these next 6 weeks is going to go. And we're starting to see like behaviors bubble up and I think it is due to like some of that uncertainty. And just what I mentioned about the last thing would probably be, we take those extra time on PD days and early outs for like teacher choice board work time there's just things added to teachers' plates all the time. And like, I don't think bar was necessarily one of them, but with it comes things that maybe we weren't doing as formally. And I just feel like we never take anything off the teacher's plate. And that is kind of one of the things that always come up since we just need more time. I don't know how we do that, but just working on ways to provide that in building time, I think is important.
And then, obviously looking at, your scores, you're moving the needle. When you have students that are struggling and you're identifying that you're in a big school, but a small school environment, right? 19 kids average in classroom size. How do you think that impacts you guys having those classroom sizes staying at that 19, 20 range? Do you guys feel like you're able to accomplish more with each student?
I do, and I just feel like in those small school environments, you can kind of have like your thumb on more things, if that makes sense. Like just today, I led the testing assembly for our NDA plus summative testing tomorrow. You know, I had a donut inflatable on and our whole theme is donut stress. And my son's friend said, where does she get all this stuff? He said, Temu. But like, I'm just able to be like really present in those things. But then like our win, I didn't touch on win in academics because 10 minutes. But you've heard about our win time, but we are very cognizant of like it's not just the tier 1 time, it's our tier 2 win time. We need every 4 to 6 weeks and moving those kids in skill-based groups. So it's not just like the yellow birds, the red birds and the blue birds. It's like they need this phonics skill right now. So they're constantly moving and we're tracking those interventions. And so I think that's a lot easier too with 210 kids.
Well, as always, I appreciate everything that you do, and you definitely bring some excitement to your school, and your environment's very exciting. So thank you so much for everything that you and your team does.
Thank you.
And thank you for highlighting the J1 teachers as well.
Thanks.
We hear a lot about them. It's exciting whenever we get praise, those that come from other places. All right, board members, moving on to item number 4, communicating with the public. There was no public comment at the last meeting. Do we have script?
Yes.
I'll read the script real quick for you guys. Public participation at board meetings is governed by district policy BCBA. Meetings of the board are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of the schools and therefore are not public meetings, but meetings held in public. It is the policy of this board to afford that opportunity in accordance with the following procedures and North Dakota Century Code 44-04-20.1. Only items on the published board agenda or on the previous meeting's published agenda will be discussed at any meeting of the board unless the superintendent or board member requests an addition to the agenda of a regular meeting and the board members present approve in accordance with board policy. No individual may speak more than once. Please state your name for the record. State the agenda item you are speaking to. Comments will be limited to no more than 3 minutes per individual. Public comment will be limited to no more than 30 minutes in total. The board has adopted policies governing patron complaints. The public is required to seek redress through these policies. The public will be prevented from commenting on a topic if it is governed by a district's complaint policy and the complainant has not followed the procedure contained in policy or the policy prohibits the public from bringing the complaint before the board. Concerns a topic that is prohibited by law from disclosure to the public, such as a student's educational record. Undue interruption or other interference with the orderly conduct of board business cannot be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order. The presiding officer may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, she or he persists in improper conduct or remarks. Furthermore, any individual who is persistently disruptive of a school board meeting may be removed from the meeting by order of the presiding officer. Board members will not engage in dialogue during the public comment period. Questions may be answered by the presiding officer or an administrator at the following meeting or in writing at a later time. If you wish to provide any public comment this evening, please step forward to the podium, announce your name for the record, as well as the agenda item you are speaking on this evening. With that being said, do we have any public comment this evening? Any public comment this evening? Any public comment this evening? Hearing none, we will move to item number 5, informational report to the board, monthly financial report. Mr. Arnold, take it away.
So in your packet is the budget reports and financials for the prior periods up through March 1st. As you can see, there's, nothing big standing out other than possibly like the operations and maintenance, which we've had a few things come up. So, I don't move budget around throughout the year just so that we can see where those changes are. And then when we compare from year to year, start looking at the budget next year, so that we can see that, yes, there was more there, but, we didn't spend as much over here. So, why is that and what do we need to do? So I don't shuffle, budget dollars around to different areas based on the spending. So that's why you kind of see that. But as far as revenues, of course, this one doesn't reflect, but we received quite a bit of our tax revenue in March. So that's looking good. Our state revenues are on track for what we're supposed to be getting. And then, of course, our biggest part of the budget is payroll and salary. So we're setting good there. So just some things that pertain to all this. So audit, I visited with them today. So all of our stuff is in their compliance review and stuff at the state level. So our auditors are getting audited by the bigwigs of the state. So that'll take just probably, they said, a couple weeks here. So by the end of the month, hopefully you guys will have the audits in your hands to take a look at, and crossing our fingers for next month's board meeting. We'll hopefully maybe have a report more of where we're at, what we're doing. And then with that, we'll roll into the whichever OES 6 with the fund balance. So we'll know more with the concrete figure where the fund balance is at. And then we can, have more of a definitive projection over the next few years. And then looking at where we're thinking that fund balance will go. Right now, as long as there isn't any big changes, I think we're setting pretty good as if we want to look at, dropping that to the 10%, then that way it gives us some room. But then also in the next few years, if we need to go out for another bond, that will help us as far as our rating with the bond, that our fund balance is within board policy and all that stuff. So it's just kind of a trickle down effect. But then, like say with the fund balances, then I'll be able to do like the 5-year projections to get more concise data. Of course, they're just projections, so they're not going to be accurate, or I shouldn't say accurate, spot on. So we'll go from there. And then, of course, with year end coming up, we're looking at where we're at with the sites as far as, because this year was the first year where I did the per student dollar amount for the site budgets, the custodial, library, things like that. So I'll start working with the principals and department heads to look at what the budgets will be for next year. Trying to get them into that thinking of planning. So, you've done this year, do you need to do the same thing next year? And because the dollars won't necessarily change, and some buildings are going to be changing as far as how much they're going to be getting next year because of the shift with the boundaries and stuff like that. So we'll be looking at those things and then just start getting ready for next year's budget and things. So and then election coming up, we're doing the questions for the publishing of the minutes, and then the staggering of the board terms. So that will be coming up in June also.
Board members, any questions?
No.
with the special election, the election that we're doing, could you make sure we monitor the cost on that? One of the big questions that I always get is how much does an election cost us? And I've heard different numbers throughout the years, but I've never seen it in writing. So if you don't mind to provide, if you could provide the board an update on what that ultimately costs us, just so they can kind of get a feel for it. And it's, I've heard it costs 20,000, it costs 30,000, it costs this. So if we could just get more of a solid number for the board for future when the public asks us about those.
Yeah, because it'll, I mean, as long as we're doing it ourselves, because I print our ballots ourselves rather than have the print shop do it. But then if we ever do anything with money or mills, then we have to have the county do it and then they'll charge us to do it. So, yeah. But yeah, we can get some averages and figures in there, so.
And then really what you're looking for is, once the audit is done and finalized, then you're gonna start to feel more comfortable working through the 5-year plan and then looking at you're reviewing how the process has worked at the schools this year. Have you been getting a bunch of feedback on that specifically?
Not so much the site budgets, but the custodial part of supplies has been all over the board with the different sites. So it's like, it's based on, a dollar amount per student. And so why is this site spending more than this site over here? And so it should average out, but so I just got to dig in deeper with the sites to see, what they're doing to spend more versus the other ones that aren't.
Does the maintenance department pull in all of the custodial staff and do a generalized training of the expectation for each individual building to say this is what we should be doing to help identify maybe where that?
Yeah, and we're getting there with like, not only that, but have district standards, but then also getting everybody using the same cleaning supplies so that we can centralize in the warehouse. We use the same toilet cleaner, floor cleaner, all of that, so we can buy more in bulk and have that out there too.
Dr. Jones?
I just wanted to add on that, since we've moved one of our custodians, Ben Crozier at the high school, to he's part-time custodian, head custodian, and then can't remember the exact title he has, but he's working under Chris, and he's kind of the director of all the custodians. We haven't had that much organization before. And so what he's been working on just the last 2 weeks is he has a district checklist. He goes around with all the principals and all the custodians and he does a walkthrough. And so every building, same checklist, things that they need to work on. So yeah, we're up in our cleaning game. So.
Any additional board members? Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on to 5B, K-12 summer school presentation.
Good evening, board members. Mr. Neske and I will be doing your summer school presentation. I will take care of your elementary and your middle school. And let's get ourselves started. Traditionally, summer school has been an academic intervention to help kids catch up or accelerate their learning. And most of the time it was at your at-risk kids. However, we have branched out and we've done this for quite a few years, is we're inviting all of the kids to summer school. And usually that's about 100 to 150 students. And we're going to have summer school at Hagen this year, which Mr. Guglich, principal there, will be head of that. He has registration from March 25th all the way to May 5th. And once we kind of get the number of students attending, we'll be able to interview the staff for those jobs. We'll need teachers and some paras. The hours are going to be from 8 to 12 for the kiddos and 7:30 to 12:30 for the teachers. It'll begin June 8th and end on June 26th. which the 26th is going to be a fun day. It is a family STEAM day. And so the parents are going to get invited to the school and see what their kids have been learning and have some fun with them. So that's kind of exciting. And that will go from 8 to 12 as well. Attendance, it is mandatory. You get to skip 2 days, and after the third day, sorry, you have to be done. So you definitely have to make a commitment to summer school. And I think in our breakout session, we talked about breakfast and lunch, and I was assuming that they were going to park our van in the parking lot. We cannot do that just due to that school doesn't meet the free and reduced criterion. And so we're going to get it all delivered to us, and it will be breakfast and lunch. What else? Okay, that is about it for our elementary. So the middle school, they are going to run theirs a little different. Theirs are going to be for current 5th through 7th graders, and they're going to start May 26th to June 12th. And once again, the kiddos will be going from 8 to 12:30, teachers from 7:30 to 12:30. And what else? Once again, mandatory attendance. After the second one, you miss the third one. Sorry, Charlie, you got to make that commitment. You'll have to try next summer. Once again, breakfast and lunch will be served, and it will be served there at Central Campus because that's where our central kitchen is at. So it's very convenient in that regard. The registration goes all the way to May 4th. So there is some time left. So once again, both summer schools are going to be, they're online. So if you, parents ask you if you know how to register, it's online, and they should be sending home paper copies at the elementary levels. And once again, on the 12th, the last day from 8 to 10, the Central Campus staff is going to have family STEAM activities as well. So try to get the families involved and make it worthwhile for those families and the kids as well. Other than that, we're ready for summer school to start. Any questions?
Board members, any questions?
Just a comment. Thank you. Thank you very much for doing the presentation. Planning the meeting, I had asked questions, so I had asked that a presentation be done. So I thank you so very, very much.
Perfect. You are more than welcome. Now, with no further ado, the man. The myth. Legend.
Wow, can't, don't know how I can follow that. I'm here to talk about the high school summer school. This will be my third year working with our high school students. We're a little different in the fact that we have to follow the state guidelines in order for students to receive credit for the classes that they're more than likely making up. Most of it is credit recovery. Phi-Ed is not, and there's a history class that is not. But we have all the English classes, freshman biology. I guess there's a couple history classes, world history 1 and 2 if we have enough. We haven't had enough. We didn't have enough for world history 2 last year. And I believe there's a US history and Phi-Ed, like I said. So our sessions have to be 12 days. They go 5 hours a day. So do the math, that's 60 classroom hours that they have to have in order to be eligible for credit. The biology, because it's a lab class, goes an extra hour, so they need 75 hours, so they go till 1:30. So we go from 7:30 to 12:30 every day with 2 breaks in there. First session is May 26th through June 10th. So there's your 12 days. second session, or we call them semesters, is June 11th through June 26th. And the location is Williston High School. Everybody comes through door 1 because we don't have people sitting at those other doors. Attendance is mandatory. You have to make up your time. So there's your detentions or, making up the time that you're late. So if you're late, if you walk in at 7:31, you gotta make up 15 minutes. So don't be late. Tell your kids not to be late. Also, if you miss one day, obviously you have to make up your 5 hours. Also, if you miss a second day, then you're dismissed because of, there's not enough time to make that up. You can't make up all 5 of your hours the same day. Nobody's staying that late in summer school. So you could do like an hour, an hour, hour and a half in a day. So what we tell kids is every day of summer school is like 1 week of regular school. So a lot of stuff gets thrown at you and whatnot, even though it's a shorter period of time. So it is credit recovery. Right now, we currently have 118 students signed up for semester 1. I don't have the numbers for semester 2 yet. We're still 6 weeks out. You may still have a chance to pass and don't have to come see me in the summer. And there's no registration window that opens or closes. You show up the first May 26th, you show up, you are in. We like to know ahead of time, because if we don't have enough, we have to juggle our teachers and things. But I have staff already. I have 5 English teachers. We usually try to do 2 for freshmen, 1 for sophomore, 1 for junior, 1 for senior. We don't have too many of those kids yet, but it's, they'll be coming. I talked about the attendance. No lunch is not served, but I'm trying to work with the food service. I talked to Gina last week, and obviously the grant hasn't been approved yet, but once it is, or hopefully it is, we're gonna partner with them too. So when they drop Mr. Guglich's lunches off, they're gonna swing by and get my lunches and breakfast too. So, because we know there's a need for that. We have breaks. Close Up does supplies our, school appropriate drinks, Gatorade's water basically, or Powerades or whatever is that we have. And then, the chips from the kitchen and those kind of snacks, but those are cash only. And so we know that there are kids that need the others. So we're gonna work with them. Well, I work with Gina, so I think that's a good thing that we can do. And the last 2 years, like I said, this is my 3rd year of doing this. We've had a graduation each year. There's always a senior, we don't know who it is yet, a senior or 2 that maybe don't make it. And it's usually English. And so we get them to finish. And so the last day of our summer school on June 26th at 11 o'clock, we have a ceremony. And sometimes the kids, all they want is their diploma. They don't want to go through that. Last year we had 1 kid, but we're good with that. We bring the summer school students down and we see that they're going to get their real diploma. And this is a big deal. And so it's been good. And actually we do one in December sometimes for those kids that don't make it, go to summer school, still need a little more school. We've done one in December as well. So it all helps with our graduation rate. So I think I went over everything. Questions?
Board members, any questions?
So it's so math too? So the.
Yeah, I guess I forgot to mention that. Yes,
Yeah.
algebra.
Okay. Okay.
And-
I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, thank you. It's algebra. And then we have a teacher for the geometry and algebra 2. And they're kind of a combo. It's a kind of a different deal that they do with this program that they work on. But algebra, I have 2 teachers right now signed up.
And there's no charge for families for this,
There is no charge for that.
for any parents that might be listening.
Free public education, you're correct.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. That was it.
I know you probably can't say exactly, but 118 students as of today, how many would you anticipate being enrolled? I guess-
Every year varies.
Yeah.
You know, some years, I've only been doing it a couple of years, but we have over a couple hundred kids sometimes. Phi Ed has been a popular one this year.
Yeah.
So that's not a credit recovery, so there's 8th graders that want to get their Phi Ed credit ahead of time. To get ahead. Yeah, it really varies.
Okay.
The second session is always smaller. You know, if we have 200 kids the first session, we maybe only have 125 the second session. It just kind of varies. Sometimes they don't get it figured out till November, December, and then in January, the second semester, they do better. So you only need to take one semester of the class that they may have failed.
I have one more question. One more question in regards to the gym. So in the past, there was the biking. Is that still happening? Is there still?
No,
Okay, so there's only one gym class now versus having 2 to choose from?
well, the numbers are less. You know, they split them up by different, you know, because the numbers were so large.
Yeah.
Last year, we only had we've only had one class
Okay.
for the
I'm
last
back
couple of
before
years.
you, so I.
Right, no, even when I was at the middle school, yeah, I'd start my day going down to see what high school, I had kids in it at that time too, so seeing what they were doing and whatnot, but yeah, they go bowling, they come to the Arc, you know, they'll swim, they take a couple, they call them long days or double days. And I think they go to like the North Unit or they go to Medora. I'm not really sure. Or Lewis and Clark State Park, if there is water out there this year. But yeah, there's things they do. You know, and they're out the football field. Sometimes they're at the middle school. So it kind of depends, but they kind of split it up, so.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We appreciate all the educators and administrators that take the time during the summer to help grow our kids that are struggling and those that want to get ahead. One thing I had for you was, whenever you guys do the graduation, shoot an invite out to the board members. You know, we get to represent the kids at the regular graduation. I would be more than happy to show up and celebrate kids that were able to make up that credit.
Try to get it a little better each time, I guess, but sure, I will do that. Don't know if we have any yet.
Even if it's one kid that we're celebrating. So
Oh,
just
absolutely.
getting to see it's one.
We've had a speaker in the past. But you're sure welcome to be the speaker if you want.
No, that's you. But no, it would be great. Extra work.
Couldn't find anybody else, so that's why.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
Moving on to 5C, scope survey results.
Well, we did talk a little bit about Paul Langford, Director of Public Relations. Back last fall, we talked about in OE9, communicating with the public, that the scope survey is a part of those outcomes and measurements for those goals, but we had not conducted it. So just looking back historically, in the spring of 2023 was the first time that the district did it as part of the communication audit. And then as we were doing some of the OEs and looking for measurable ways, we checked back in and they said they were doing it as a standalone. So then we could follow up on results, which is beautiful. So the second time it was done, to try and fit in with that OE was not the best timing as far as they were concerned, but they did do it in the fall of 24. And so we've done it in a few school years here, but we skipped some time in there and they're not always the same timing. And now we went to the spring of 26. So we're trying to do this yearly in the spring, to February, get the results back in the spring, because that's when parents have the most information and staff or feel like, how are things going? So that we can plan for that next year, which is the most important at that point. So we'll look at a few stats that this shows 514 responses, nowhere near the 4-day survey responses, which was about 2,000. But this isn't as fun, right? But just, I don't have this on the slide, but in the very first one, and this was prior to my time, right when my position was kind of being created around them, there was 904 responses. And then the last time it was done, fall of 24, there was 816. I can only speak to why I think, because I don't think the promotion was lower. And we always do the same text the night before. And then half of our results come in then when we say it's closing. And that's usually when we get the most of them. But I think people, if they're not as upset, they tend to be more like, it's fine. And they don't necessarily prioritize that time in their schedule if there's not a burning desire. So this just talks a little bit about it. So hopefully some of you took it. You know, it's got all sorts of different measurements in there. We're just going to zone in. Also available in English, Spanish, French, and Filipino. We didn't have anyone take it in French, but several in Spanish and Filipino. So that's good. We'll continue to offer those 3 languages as well. And so we'll go into, you know, predominantly we're looking at parents or families, guardians, and then staff. And this time we really didn't get a statistically reliable amount of community because they're like, it seems fine, which is fine, but we'll just touch base on a little of that. I guess I can use this thing, huh? Newfangled thing. If I hit it and wait, or you want to do it? I'll just point at Oscar. Next. Thank you. Moved in those, not in that. Can you go to overall scores? There was the one right before it. Thank you. That might be because I hit it and then you hit it. So the 2 things that we just zoom in on, because there's a lot of information, is in the OE, is perception of the district and satisfaction with communication. And so looking at perception of the district from 2023 to, this is 2025. That should say 26, and I made it, so that's me. I will update that as we put it out there, but it's in the 25-26 school year, but it was technically 26. But anyway, it goes up 10% each time, which notably from the 23 to the 24, moving to average, that's what they say from NSPRA. Like if you move from the 2 to the 3, that's a big deal because then you're getting above that line of okayness. To get 4s and 5s, they said is, you know, pretty atypical, and they do have the national averages. We were still below the national averages here, but moving toward it. But satisfaction with communication, we saw a continuous increase there. And if you see, we are now in Satisfiedville. So that's the place we're hoping to be. And that's overall with all 3 groups. If we go to the next slide, it breaks down what those percentage increases were per group. So you see, I did include community here, even though remember, it's not statistically reliable, but it showed positive. So I thought, heck, throw it in there. Just so you know that the first 2 groups we did get enough to consider it statistically reliable. And so we see a couple of big gains, particularly with staff and families. If you take out the community here, that we see that 17 and 19% just since the last time the survey was given. That's huge. And then the satisfaction with communication. By the way, both of those moved from below average into average. And that's beautiful to see. That's a big deal. And then when we look at satisfaction with communication, we had a little bit of satisfaction right on the edge last time, growth there as well. Community, I mean, those 8 people are hard to satisfy, but we're going to keep working at it for sure. And then I won't go too into detail, but it's interesting if you take a look at these, they call them the scorecard by group, and I'm not doing community here. But for staff, you look across and see what are some of those big gains. And this is compared to last time where we have green at the end of everyone. So there was an increase in everyone from the 24 to 26. And the least amount being 3%. So that was significant. And I think this is really wonderful to see. I trust the communication I received from the district. That went up 9% just in the last little bit here. So that's huge to see. And then we'll go on to the next slide of parents and families. One that was kind of a Debbie Downer last time was I trust communication I received from my child's school. And that actually had gone down a little bit from 23 to 24, but now it went up several points and is looking much better. And I think I don't have proof other than all the proof that the principals have shown you, but I think BAR is probably a lot of that as well. And that engagement piece helps a great deal with that. And that certainly isn't on me and, you know, directly as far as PR, that's the school is doing that work. And so also I trust the communication I received from the district, and that's up 12%. So a lot more trust in the information, as I put the wrong year on that one. But you know what the difference is, and actually if you all check, you just got a correction from me through Parent Square that said, oh, I thought it was pre-K through. But to say, hey, we messed this up, here's the right information as quickly as possible. And that's where trust is, because if you pretend like you never do anything wrong, that's pretty fishy. And not acknowledge it. So I think that helps at a school level all the way up to the top. Although Dr. Termanson has yet to be wrong, but he might be sometime in his tenure.
I don't admit it to you.
And a big deal here, which we can see when I highlight it on the next one, but is that 19% at the end? Because we went from dissatisfied to satisfied with overall perception of the district. And we just really want to keep growing that. So the key findings there, that 8% increase in feeling informed about topics that make me feel valued as an employee. That increase is huge under staff. And so another one, 9% increase in trusting the communication, and that's the staff themselves. And then families, 19% increase in that perception, moving from dissatisfied to satisfied, and trusting school communication. And then the other finding was, we just didn't have enough, and maybe next time we can do more things to try and get community members. But we all know what the surveys are like, and if you're like, I'm fine, I got stuff going on, it's just a harder one to get people engaged with. So not shockingly, the next slide shows the preferred communications channels, Parent Square, email. Some people don't opt in of activating a Parent Square account, but they still get them through email. For direct communication, that's preference. And there was a lot more than these options that are on. These are the top 4. Text message for crises types of things. If you really want their attention, trust me, send a text, but I try to do it sparingly so that they're not ignoring our text. Unless they have their Parent Square set to text, and then that could be confusing. But website using for detailed and reference information. And then of course, Facebook supports awareness, updates, and engagement, which we mentioned previously. Staff like seeing other schools. And what's going on at other schools. And that's a great place for us to do that, because we're not going to send a Parent Square for every one of those. New this time is students, and this is new for them with this survey. And so it's our first time doing it. We have very low numbers here, which is fine and expected, because we did not put it into the schools and say, hey, give everyone this. That would require an opt-out. That would require a different level. And they're already doing a few surveys with opt-outs for kids. And so we just put it out there saying students are able to take this. This is available, optional. So we don't have a lot of responses, 31, and predominantly ninth graders. So they have a lot of opinions in ninth grade, which is cool. I like that. But we had all the way down into the elementary school. So the results really, though, just give us a nice little baseline to see. The questions are different, so they're not lumped in with the others. But I think you'll like this information in the next slide of the perception of your school and satisfaction with communication. I mean, we're already well above average with these students, so I'm pretty impressed. And of course, these are students that went ahead and filled out the survey, but I didn't see any bad words or like, you know, those this is a bad word if you really look at it, type bad words, you know, which sometimes we get with other surveys. So they were invested in, but we really did get some good comments in there that I think are valuable for principals and teachers to use. So, and their preferred communication channel did shopping, email. I was like, I kept re-looking at it going, is that right? And she went over it with us, and because they say, oh, kids don't check their email, but it was very predominantly, if they don't hear it straight from you, the teacher, email, daily announcements, text message, which is limited of what we can do on a school level. And then, of course, what other people tell me highly in that was my parents. I hope my parents were checking this because I'm not. And so things are good, and we have this data to back it up. The upwards trend across key metrics, communication efforts are making an impact. Stakeholder confidence is growing, and student feedback reflects a positive baseline. I mean, really, I almost wish for lower because that's going to be hard to beat. But it's exciting to have these. We are planning to, when I say we, that'll be me tomorrow, get this live on our website and then shared across platforms so that people can see all the information. And there'll be a little bit more than just what's in here. So if you really want to deep dive, it'll be made available to you and everyone else. Any questions?
Board members, any questions? Mrs. Will?
Thank you. And as always, you provided the information with some humor, which I greatly appreciate.
My 7th grade English teacher did not. I'm just saying. Yes, I'm glad that you did, Mrs. Wheeler.
You didn't go to school here.
No, those Powers Lake, they were glad no, really, it is a necessary part of this job, right?
Absolutely. Some appropriate jokes in throughout gives a giggle and it keeps people on track. And I really appreciate that and I thank you for it.
You're welcome.
No, I appreciate it. I think we can say it every meeting, every month, the amount of communications that go out. If you're not receiving them, then you are not engaged, and it's not because the school district is not trying to keep you engaged. We are offering so many opportunities. I'm very proud of what your department does, and Dr. Germanson, great team. Well, thank you very much.
You can thank Mr. Waldo.
Moving on to item 6A, operational expectation, 7, asset protection.
All right. OE7 Asset Protection Monitoring Report. I'm gonna turn it over to Mike. He's gonna give you some evidence that I believe that we comply in this. He's also gonna talk about some cool things, I hope, about the new malware we got. We all heard about the Dickinson thing a couple of months ago where they kind of got tricked out of some money. With our partnership with Pro IT, our tech director, we've got some malware that it's scary what it can do. It's like filtering all of our emails, and we got some pretty cool stuff happening. So go ahead, I'll turn it over to Mike.
So, as you can see in the things that were provided with the report in the board packet, we do have our coverage through the NDERF is what they call it. It's the North Dakota Insurance Reserve Fund. But we use 2 different agencies here in Williston. So our property and casualty is with Manger, and our vehicles are with Zunic. Okay. I drew a blank there for a minute, but so we do kind of spread it around a little bit, but ultimately everything's covered with NDERF. We, as far as limits on there, so our, we worked, in fact, we just got back here last fall, our valuations for the district. So we had this company come in and they went through everything from one end of the district to the other, not only with, like the content stuff, but all of our buildings, vehicles, everything. So we have a current updated valuation. And so then that way we work then with our insurance to make sure that replacement costs are covered, and we have them valued correctly. But then also our insurance also works well with us too, because if they see spikes and growths and different things with costs for replacement and all that, they will reach out to us, say, okay, well, you know, you've got this valued at this, but the way things are going now, it's gonna be here. So, you know, we recommend, and we don't have to have it 100%, but they like to see it within a percentage. So, some of the things, as Jason had mentioned, we've been, you know, there's been a lot of stuff going on with malware, things getting in through email, which happened with Dickinson with the, was it 3 million, 2 million, $2 million? So, but with that, we've had Greg that is contracting with us with Pro IT. He went through and looked at a bunch of different things that we could look at as far as email filters and that will help protect us there. So they found a program, and it went live, I believe, on Friday. Is that what he said?
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah, last Friday. So, and since then, as of 3:50 this afternoon, it's scanned 65,000 plus emails that have come into the district. So, and with that, we were 99.9% malware protected. So it filtered out anything that went through. And then 99.7 for phishing. So that's where they reach out and click on a link and then they get in. So this will significantly help, because it's every email account, every computer in the district. So students, staff, you guys, your guys' email accounts with the district is scanned through this, and it won't let these malicious emails even come to you to potentially open. It will send them back. They get a report in tech to, you know, deal with them there. So, and then also to go with that, we will be looking at additional cyber insurance. So if something does happen, that cyber insurance then will help with the recovery. Whatever happens, if it's, you know, they lock out our student information system, we can't get into it, or different things. So but to have that, we have to have our full two-factor authentication in place. So that's, I think, pretty well done now. So we'll start looking at that for this coming year with the insurance. So any questions?
Board members, any questions? It's got a couple. Mr. Clark? I'm pretty familiar with this, the Park District as Pro IT. So I understand what we're going through here. Does the district currently do anything with like cybersecurity training for staff?
Yeah, we've got through vector training, I think, because we have some there, but then also when things start hitting the news, like the IT folks will send out an email to everybody that, you know, be cognizant, look at what you're, you know, make sure it's from somebody that you trust before you open an attachment. What to look at.
They'll send out phishing emails and they'll try to bait you to do it, and then of course everybody
Who needs the training?
it's like, we got you again, right?
That's great. There's another counter side to that. I've realized being a user that I often have to go and check that spam folder to make sure that nothing's getting grabbed. It shouldn't get grabbed.
Right.
So they might overreach a little bit there. So some training on that might be better.
Yeah, and we find that especially in the business office when like attachments, because of invoices and because they're not necessarily maybe from their normal company emails. And so they'll say, well, we haven't been paid for this yet. And so we'll do the spam. Well, it's there 2 weeks ago. So.
That's all I have. Any other questions?
I mean, more or less just piggybacking off of what Joe said, we have that know before training, and I've, you know, just the amount that just those small 10-minute trainings can teach you. I mean, it's it's crazy the amount of like what people will do to the lengths that they will go to try to get you to pay millions of dollars. But yeah, that stuff is so important.
Then we have too, with the employee handbook that everybody has to sign off on is it called technology use for the district? So not only with equipment, but programs and all of that stuff too, so. But I'm assuming probably the tech department will be doing more, because of the prevalence of what's been going on across the world, so.
Thank you very much. Board members, Dr. Jorgensen believes that he is in compliance. We would be looking for a motion that the interpretation is reasonable and evidence supports compliance. If somebody would like to make that motion. Unless you would like additional information.
I'll move the interpretation reasonable and evidence supports compliance.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Farge.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to results policy 2, special education teachers and paraprofessionals.
I just want to say, you won't believe the amount of princes that Mr. Clausen comes and says they need $10,000 cash, and if I could help him out because he's got millions of dollars for the district, I say, Mr. Clausen, we're not doing that. It happens about once a week, so. All right. Result R2, special education. I'm going to turn this over to our Chief Academic Officer, Darla Ratzek, and I believe that I am also in compliance in this. So, Darla, take it away.
Good evening, thank you for having me, and Dr. Jorgensen likes to give me extra work to do something. So with the goals 1.3 and 1.4 and the paraprofessionals and participation, the district has implemented structured paraprofessional training aligned with state requirements, including onboarding, disability-specific instruction support, behavior management, and strategies. They also undergo ongoing professional development. Professionals and paras are meeting certification expectations, and the feedback from staff indicates that training is contributing to improved classroom support. So these practices demonstrate compliance with goal 1.3. And Mr. Huss also threw a few things in on this, was the paraprofessionals working collaboratively with WILMAC to establish special education technician cohorts. This provides necessary professional development while they're working as paraprofessionals in a classroom. Once certified, the technicians will be able to assist the teachers with meaningful case management tasks. Also, that'll allow the teachers to conduct activities such as IEP meetings, testing lessons, preparations, and lunch breaks. So that means that they can cover for the teacher while they're out of the room at those points. And then the goal is to have all paraprofessionals on the paraprofessional development track that's a legitimate program. They can apply for the technical technician certification, which is a teaching certification. So our district has picked a lot of that up. We're adding more for the fall. Some of the individuals, the parents that are interested are starting some classes here for the summer courses. And so they get to, it's really neat. It's like you grow your own, but it's a little bit different than that. It's through Certification Central where they can actually be a certified tech at that point. The pay is a little bit different on that. And as they come through it, getting a 2-year degree, then their 4-year degree out of that. We're working with Minot State, which also Williston State, Valley City State, and all of those are offering things, but there's also a scholarship piece through the state of North Dakota. If somebody, we had 3 last year, I believe, we wrote those scholarship letters to, and we received 3 of them. And that was like $12,000 per year for that scholarship. For goal 1.4, the district continues to support special ed teachers through strengthening paraprofessional staffing, collaboration with WILMAC Special Ed Unit, and access targeted professional development. The internal retention data and staff participation in support programs indicate that these efforts are contributing to more stable and sustainable special ed environments, while the district is meeting expectations of the policy. Continued refinement of mentorship structures, onboarding processes, and long-term retention strategies will further strengthen the area. And on this one, we talk about the participation with the unit, the neighborhood school concept, and providing comprehensive special education services across all buildings. So every building next year will be able to meet the needs of students in all levels, and that's levels 1, 2, and 3. We do have a medically fragile classroom, which is going to be the only level that'll be a different school. So medically fragile students would go to Wilkinson Elementary, where there's a nurse and there's a program and there's an educator that works with medically fragile. Another thing we're working on for next year is appropriate caseload sizes depending on that special ed environment the students required to be successful in, if it's a level 1, level 2, or level 3. And we're creating this level 4 special education environment for students. It's for students that are not successful in other environments. That's a big thing we're working on, and that'll come to you more information later. STAR curriculum implementation with WILMAC, the professional development as part of the level 2 and 3 environments. Also, the Gold Book program provides every special ed case manager with additional training and support that they need. And this assists the teacher in writing IEP goals to the state standards and helps the case managers be more efficient with their paperwork responsibilities. And that takes a little bit of that pressure off of them. So based on this evidence gathered, Dr. Germanson, the monitoring period from April 2025 to April 2026 monitoring period that Wilson Basin School District would be in compliance with the results policy 2 goals 1.3 and 1.4.
Board members, Dr. Germanson believes that he is in compliance. I would be looking for a motion that interpretation is reasonable and then supports compliance unless we see otherwise. Do we have a motion?
I'll move that the interpretation is reasonable and we are in compliance with policy R2.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
If parents feel like they need more training, is there a pathway there for them to have more training opportunities, or how would that be accommodated?
For parents, you mean?
If a parent,
parents.
they wanted more training, how?
Well, one thing we're bringing in, so this year we did conscious discipline, we brought back some more training for more tier 1 instruction. It's, like 85% of your kids, and some of the feedback we got from the special ed teachers were like, what about the ones we're working with, those tier 2 and those tier 3, like those strategies don't necessarily work for us. And one of the trainers that came into one of the buildings to do some coaching told one of the principals about a different type of training conscious discipline does. It's more specific to the neurodivergent spectrum disorder kiddos that maybe need something a little bit different. And so we're bringing them in one of the days when K-12 is doing ELA training, the special ed teachers and the special ed paras. Other paras want to come, they're welcome to come. Social workers, the counselors will all come and get that full day training. And then throughout the year, we're going to do more of like what they're doing conscious leadership with the principals. But with those teachers where like every month, every other month, they're going to hop on, and if they have questions for her, specific things, she can do a little bit of training plus then a question and answer. And then January, we're doing that. I call it the Helga Sorensen, if anyone's been here a long time. It's like, we're gonna do choose your own PD with lots of different sessions, and conscious discipline's gonna come in and do 3 different 2-hour sessions that teachers or whoever else can choose to go to try and give us some more strategies and tips for those kids that just aren't, just need a little bit more than what we're giving them right now. So.
And then to add to that as well, we're going to add more training for the paraprofessionals on the Vector training guide. So they'll be able to go on and watch the videos, take some quizzes, get certified in certain areas as well. Our special ed paras are required to do the 20-hour paraprofessional certification for our district. I did get numbers from Liam today at WOMAC, and I didn't bring those down. But it's good to see that they're required to do it, and they're doing it, and they're doing well with it. So
It's great, thank you.
If you want to share those numbers with the board via the next Friday update, that'd be great.
yep.
I just want to say, I think this was the process that we're going through right now as a district We are very focused on high needs students and we're focused on the staff that is working with them. Dr. Germanson and his team have been collaborating well with our sped student staff to help encourage them and just be there to support them. We know there's a study going on at the state level, but I would remind the board to be very cognizant of this process and listening and being there for this, because this is a big deal across the state and across the nation. So making sure that we're there to offer any supports that we can at the board level, I think is extremely important. So, but I think we're doing a great job as a district right now, really transitioning and focusing on this. All right. With that, Paula, could you call the roll?
Sluter.
Aye.
Kilgore. Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to 6C, approve an extension of operational expectation 6 to June due to WBSD 7 waiting for final audit numbers. I believe this was a request that came from Mr. Arnold from the business department through the planning committee.
That's correct. Do you want me to speak on it or have Mr. Arnold speak on it?
Mr. Arnold, I think, can share his request.
So kind of as I mentioned earlier in my presentation that we're just waiting on the final audit for the fund balance. Then that way we'll be able to be more on point, more specific, or, hopefully more accurate, because the last actual audited fund balance we have is for fiscal year 22. So with having 23 and 24, we'll know, where that's at. And then going into 25, which would be my, most of my year, I'll be more certain on where that'll be and what we'll have. So, so just if we could postpone it till the June date and our June board meeting, and like say we should have the audit, and then I'll have, and then I'll have more on the budget where we'll be for next year and fund balances and things like that, and then build the projections from there for the following few years, so.
Okay. Board members, do we have a motion to approve an extension? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Bless you.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? I'll quickly say, I understand, Mr. Arnold, your position on this. I would have liked to have seen this sooner, but I also don't want to put you in a situation where you have to alter as soon as you do the work, and I would hate to make you do it twice. The community, they want to see what our outlook is going to be for the next few years. I will not hold you accountable for this situation. I think there's grace in the fact that you are 100% accurate. This year is your first full year. We do know that commitments that were being made and people that were in leadership back then, they weren't following through. But we are witnessing continual follow through from you. So I 100% at this time support us moving this forward for you guys and your team. So. Thank you. Anybody else? You have a second. Any other discussion?
Just thank you for presenting. You did a good job presenting at the planning committee, and thank you for following through and presenting again and asking for the request. Much appreciated.
Paula, could you call the roll?
Kilgore. Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye. Motion carries. I just want to say one quick thing. With our calendar, we do, as a board, want to be as flexible as possible with staff, but we also do want to make sure, as we're going through this, that we are hitting the high points with our results policies and our monitoring. We don't want to extend out too much to where we're missing stuff in a school year. But there are situations where I do believe that we should understandably alter a little bit on the calendar. So we should have some flexibility, just for everybody. Moving on to committee reports, planning meeting report.
So with that, just as an FYI, I did plant that seed with Dr. Jermenson to look at our OEs and our Rs at our upcoming meetings, so that way, if we as the planning committee feel that an adjustment should be made, we can make that recommendation to the board for next year. So we can have those adjustments. So our planning committee meeting that we had, you have all of the notes. A lot of those pieces have already been discussed today with the follow-up. And once again, thank you to the gentleman who did that, much appreciated. There was a school tour of Swollen. Unfortunately, I experienced a medical emergency and had to leave. So I did not get to do that tour, but if Annette or Brittany wanted to talk on that, because I unfortunately was not there to do it.
Yeah, Mrs. Brady gave us a tour and everything's on track, on schedule, it looks good. It was very thorough.
It was beautiful. I mean, I'm very excited to see the finished product, but just to see the progress from, when the gym was still dirt to what it looks like now. And I mean, everything is just, it's here, it's in Williston, it's awesome. It's phenomenal.
It's happening.
Great, it's a great job. They're doing an amazing job on this.
I look forward to the building being aired out a little bit more, and then I'll be able to actually see it a little bit better, and I may even bring a mask, just to be on the safe side, because I have such horrendous allergies.
And it's
Nope, that was all I had to say.
It's gonna be very nice to see the history of the school painted on the walls and throughout the entire school, so I'm very excited.
So that is all that I have.
Governance committee report. We have an item here for altering GC 5 policy. This pertains to language that we want to alter to ensure that in the future, no issue occurs where board members that are seated are applying for open positions within the district, just to prevent any issues of conflict. So we'll be recommending that there's that change made. And then we discussed the superintendent's goals on the evaluation. We had never came up with we need a rating for the superintendent's goals. What we've decided to alter that to was that it would just be a comment section on those goals, not a real rating system, because each board member may have higher priorities. So we don't want to make it an issue where we're trying to control the goals of the superintendent, but that we can comment on his goals and then be able to reach out and follow up. So that was pretty straightforward. It was just an alteration. And that is all we discussed at this meeting. It's not on this agenda, but it'll be on the next agenda for moving on. But we're going to have Sam step in, and he will be at our next governance committee meeting. We'll make the official change at the next agenda, but he will be participating at the next meeting while we fill in for the rest of the year.
Perfect, excellent. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.
So I appreciate him volunteering for that. And then that is all we have. So moving on to matters reserved for board action, discuss and decide on how to fill the open WESD number 7 board seat. Before we move on to that, I just want to quickly thank Mr. Brenner for his time that he gave to the community and to the school board. We appreciate his hard work, and we wish him the best on all his future endeavors, and good luck with whatever he decides to do next. With that, we do have a seat that we need to fill. We've reached out, we've got a timeline now. What the board needs to decide is whether or not, because we already have an election occurring, it does not occur with us. We don't have the time available to put names on a ballot. So we would have to then run a special election. Looking at that and cost, I believe at this time, the best route, since we will have an election next year, would be for the board to appoint. So with that, we would do an application process and then decide from there, and the board appoint a member to fulfill the rest of this year into the next election in June.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So in the past, when we've done appointments and other boards have done appointments, individuals could put in their application and sometimes there was an interview process and other times there was not. Is that something that you've thought about, or what is your direction on whether or not we would have an interview process?
We will not do an interview process. If the board is comfortable with that, we would have it open April 14th through May 3rd. That gives a 3-week submission window. May 5th, the board members receive the submissions to review. So that'll give everybody a chance to read them. And then May 6th, the board would convene a special board meeting for the appointment. I've seen through a lot of these, there's not necessarily a lot of applications that tend to come in. It's normally very few. And we have very specific questions that they're responding to. They'll have documents to turn in. And then the board will be able to, I feel, make a recommendation from that instead of performing interviews.
Okay, very good, very good.
And it helps with the timeline too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it speeds things up and it's not as uncomfortable because I've been a part of both options and it does make it flow better.
I did an interview process when I was
did.
appointed in 2019.
Yep.
And so I've seen it both ways too. I think it works receiving the applications. And really the interview to me is how do they function on the board for that time frame and whether or not the community likes them and would like to reelect them when that time comes. So
And the time frame for anyone listening for an individual who is appointed would be May 11th until,
till June of next year when we hold an election.
so it'll be 1 year and a little less than a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we don't see any of the submissions until the 5th?
Correct. You can, we can reach out to Mr. Arnold and see if we're receiving applications, that's perfectly fine. But we want to review them the night before and everything. If somebody's concerned with the time frame on that and they need this, and we have a ton of them, I think then we can have a discussion on.
So I can keep you updated if there's a whole bunch coming in.
Right. I mean, that would be good to know if there was.
Yeah.
So.
My expectation normally from what we see is if you get 1 or 2 up front, those are the people that are really interested in it. And then you may have 1 or 2 the last day. I don't foresee a lot coming in. But you never know.
If there's none, you just extend the date, till somebody throws their name in the hat, or maybe that's the case.
Take it back to the school board meeting and things.
Yeah, it comes back to us and ultimately we would have to have a special election.
Yep.
Per century code. So we would be required then to go through a process of a special election. I hope to avoid that just for cost.
Yeah. And to my knowledge, that's never happened in our district even before, but doesn't mean that it won't happen.
Yeah, and I'd be mindful too, there's quite a few changes going on right now. And so we might see an uptick in applicants, and if there happens to be quite a few, maybe, being flexible, just like for us to be able to review everything is a nice option.
And I think really from the board's perspective, encourage your friends. People that people in the community that you've heard have shared interest in the board and what we do. And remind them it is a commitment. It is, there's a lot that we give up in this process, but it's a very rewarding commitment. So anybody interested, I would definitely say go for it, throw your name in. But you should be student focused. You should be district success focused. If you are applying with, you're mad at a teacher, it's not gonna work. If you're mad at a coach, it's not gonna work. So I would be very mindful of your reasoning behind you're wanting to apply and be a part of this. We're a great district with a great board. We're not without our flaws, but we are moving in a very good direction right now.
Yep. And there'll be publications out by your team for communication purposes?
Yeah, so basically
Sorry, I should have asked.
No, that's fine.
No, I meant to Corey, I should have asked.
Oh, you should have asked him to ask me.
Before I spoke.
Say that again.
Did she ask a question?
Can I?
Yes.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Communication team.
Yes, just anticipating that if this gets passed, basically everything's ready. I just need to turn a couple documents on, make sure that everything matches up with what is approved. You know, if we go a different direction, then that's different, but otherwise things will be able to go out tomorrow. And just to say that on that timeline, it is effective following that special meeting, May 6th, that they would officially be, and all the communication that we have and the information that would go out says that. So they would be, as soon as the meeting is over, they are a board member and then be expected to be at that Monday meeting. So it gives them a couple of days to, you know, adjust, but it's.
Thank you for correcting me on that.
No, and that's okay, all right, but that was part of looking at the timeline to say, you know, that they realize they're expected to start right away and be at that board meeting.
Are you putting that on the website like tonight or first thing in the morning?
Tomorrow, yeah, not tonight. Because I'll want to make sure that all the documents are correct with what is approved tonight. But yes, it would be on the website and then pushed across all platforms. And Mike wants to do a Facebook Live, and I was like, fine.
No.
Oh, it really stuck out. We got a really good department here. They just throw anybody on video.
The last couple minutes, I'll let Tammy step in for me.
But quite frankly, if you did want anybody to have a video, you know, I mean, we could do that if you want to say, hey, you know, feel free, if any board members.
Annette just volunteered. I would love to be the next board member to speak on camera.
But no high heels.
I see two people that haven't done theirs yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might need to borrow yours.
I got like 3 Steelers out there.
So the motion we would be looking for, the language was not here.
I have it.
You have it.
Would you like me to say it?
Yes.
Based on what was used previously.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the language would be motion to approve opening up applications to fill the current vacant seats on the Williston Basin School District number 7 board by appointment pursuant to NDCC 15.1-09-05.
So moved.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Do we have a second?
You just.
I second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Board members, any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Johnson,
Aye.
Wheeler,
Aye.
Barge, Sluter,
Aye.
Kilgore,
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Community be looking out. If we have to come find some people, we will. We will find somebody that's interested in education. All right, moving on to matters reserved for board action, discuss the option to issue an RFP for the district school picture services. This is not an unusual item, I think, to have discussed at a school board meeting. With some of the information that's come out across the nation with certain names and files. But without making too big of a deal of it, I will let Mrs. Kilgore came to me with this, and I think we should discuss it. And if you have anything you want to say.
Yeah, you know, we've received some emails and some, you know, people talk to me within the community, just kind of wondering if we could go a different direction with our school photos in the yearbook. And so I just brought the concern to Corey and thought that we should bring it up to our board and kind of figure out, you know, if there's another direction and maybe potentially an opportunity for someone in the community to take our school photos.
Board members, any questions?
What's an RFP?
Request for proposal.
Yeah, it's a request for proposal. They can introduce and send it to the board, make it an official so that we can actually look through some. There would be, the goal with this would be that we would be allowing this to go to planning to review it, whatever comes in.
Yep. And then planning can make a recommendation.
The cost of it makes it, it's a big thing. So.
Yeah, we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to know that it's open if we are going to go that route. I think I'm not against it. by any means. I think if we have community members that they see an issue with a company taking pictures and they're concerned with the back end of what those could be utilized for, I have no problem with the local dollars staying local.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
When this does end up coming to the planning committee with any recommendations, Dr. Jorgensen, could we get an idea of what the costs had been in the past? Just so that we can understand what the
Compare.
business has been playing
Yep.
versus future possible.
Thank you.
Okay.
Generally with that though, there's really no cost to the district because they're getting the revenue off of the picture packages, so.
True, I just didn't know if there was a fee that the district pays because we acquire those photos also, those class pictures, those various other pieces. So I wasn't sure if there was any fee.
No,
A
but
lot of them will
Yeah.
include that as a give me back to the district to try to get sweeten the pot so that they.
Even the staff photos?
mm,
Okay, okay.
Mr. Mark? Well, per that, wouldn't we want to know what our families would be charged?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
I think that's the real.
Like we would know the burden of cost would go directly to the family, so that, the proposal needs to dictate what they would charge for services.
And then compare them to what's charged.
And if there would be a minimum,
Yeah.
a minimum number of families purchasing. If not, then would there potentially be a fee instilled upon the district from that contract?
Yeah.
So understand, there's gonna be a lot of little things to understand if we're gonna potentially change, which I also agree is an excellent conversation to have.
Yeah.
So,
Because I can reach out to districts, because I don't know if Williston's ever done an RFP for pictures, but, so I can see what I can find and then before we put it out, bring it back to the planning committee to go over. Because I mean, we'll want to look at what do we get out of it?
Yep.
What is, so.
because some of those are bad just for our students and everything and.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and yeah, because sports is done by,
So local.
there's some local people that do sports photos
I think so.
at different levels, but I don't know where they would be with district-wide.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is the capacity.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what that turnaround will be.
Capacity, quality.
Yep.
Cost to our families. I think there's a lot of things that we want to identify
Mhm.
to ensure that we're not taking away from community members and causing an issue for the district as well. I think that needs to be very specific. So I think that's one of the big things. So
What would be the reasonable time frame that some information might be able to be gathered to present to the planning committee?
Because when's the next one in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next week.
Next Tuesday?
Yes, it's next week on Tuesday.
Week from tomorrow.
I mean, if it has to be pushed to May, but, or a special planning committee meeting.
Let me see what I get back by the end of this week and then,
Okay.
what I would recommend is look at the dates that we have been having pictures historically taken. Don't rush the process.
No,
There's a lot of other things going on in planning right now.
Yes,
We
there
want to make
is.
sure that we're keeping those agendas time friendly to everybody involved. So what I would recommend is this may be something that's not implemented until the 26, 27, 27, 28 school year.
absolutely.
Because some people may have to invest to grow their capacity to be able to handle this.
Yep.
But if we start to plan, I don't want to put the district in a situation where we go out and do this and then we say we're hiring and then these people don't have the capability just yet.
Correct.
They're almost
Correct.
there. So if the community knows that we're going to offer them the opportunity, I think some may come together. I've seen the email where, hey, we're going to have multiple people involved in this. So I think we really want to make sure that this is something that goes to planning, but I don't want to put a stamp date complete, have this finished. Let's go through
No.
the process and make sure this is really well thought out because they're also going to have security measures in place to ensure our photos don't go anywhere else either.
Correct, and that's why I asked the question as that starting point of when might be a good time to have the conversation. I imagine that this is gonna be a conversation over multiple meetings. It's not gonna be able to be rushed. I'm sorry, Corey, Dr. Sherman.
Yeah, I just want to make sure too, like being at the high school, we took pictures within the first couple days and the company we used, we were able to get our badges for all students back within a matter of weeks. So that's 1,700 pictures on a card in like 2 weeks. So we want to make sure those companies can do that. So we have our kids ID'd and so.
There's some stipulations.
Yep, there's some stipulations. So, yep.
I think it's a great idea to start the process. I
Yes.
just don't want anybody to feel rushed.
No, no, absolutely not. No, I know it's going to take time. If push came to shove and there was some issues, is there any way that the district can make badges?
Yes, I
If
don't
push came
know.
to shove in an.
we make badges. We make our badges for each other. I don't know
What about
how long it would
students?
take to do 1,700 badges of students.
Again, this is
So,
just for
yeah.
conversation purposes and
That's a
nothing
great
more.
question
And
for.
to plant a seed for future meeting,
Yep.
that's all.
So what I'd be
Good
looking
question.
for would be a motion to send this to the planning committee for future discussion. And that's all we're doing. We're authorizing planning to go out and look into this.
Yep.
So if anybody wants to make a motion to authorize planning to discuss the option to issue an RFP for the district school picture services.
I will make a motion to, take it to planning. Just, okay.
You said authorize the planning committee.
To issue the RFP.
Second that.
Any discussion?
So planning committee is the one building this RFP.
No,
In
it,
conjunction with staff or who?
the
who's
district staff will do it.
Yep.
It just authorizes planning committee to review it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it'll go directly through once they're able to research and discuss our needs, then they can put out those standards and go from there and then start bringing it back to planning.
Sounds good.
Any other? Paula?
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barge.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye. Motion carries. Renew the Flex Days MOU with the Wilson Education Association. Do we have a motion to approve the renewal?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Just a quick question. How has this been working out?
So Tara, I would like to propose that Tara Christopherson comes up.
Yes.
So this came up, I don't know who was on negotiations last year, so this came up kind of quick in May last year, so it had to be implemented really fast. And the idea behind it is that teachers can seek out something in the summer and then get it approved and then turn it in August, and then they can have a flex PD day. But there's a lot of stipulations written in there, so we had to pick out 2 days that they can actually flex. It does not mean they have the day off. It means that they don't have to go to the PD that day. So last year, I mean, like I said, it went out fast. We had 21 people apply initially, and in the end, by the end of the summer, 8 of them utilized it. I think there were 5 that utilized it January 2nd, and then 3 did just this past April 6th, last Monday. So the part that just gets a little tough is it happened so fast. And I don't think people understood at first either. I do think there was a little bit of, they thought they had the day off, you know? And so we're wondering if we should give it another shot.
Well, and we met with WIA. I meet with WIA once a month and the same kind of thing. As you know, our calendar was already approved. And so the cart got a little before the horse. So we feel that we try one more year. I don't know if we'll get many more than that, but then the next year that we have the calendar being proposed at the same time that we remember about this policy, this agreement, and then we can move forward, that it will become more, because at the WIA meeting last week, we have one of the WIA members who's a teacher, and she was able to work in her classroom, and she goes, oh, I got planned, this was last week's PD, she goes, oh, got everything planned for the rest of the year, I feel good, I'm not stressed.
And so that was the intent of that, to give those teachers, hey, I already did the PD. I just want to work in my classroom. I don't want to have to go down to any of these meetings. So it works. We just gotta make sure that we align both of those together. So if we could try it again, that'd be great.
Yeah, I sat on negotiations. I understood where they were coming from and the example was a class that was given, that was taken already by an educator. It just didn't make sense for them to sit through it again. I think this was one of the biggest things we were very clear on. It's not a day off. It's a day for you to get some stuff done in your classroom at this building that you are assigned. We were very specific through negotiations, so hopefully that can, makes its way out there. If you didn't hear negotiations during that process, it's not a day off. Not a day off, but it is an opportunity for you to finish other things. So I think it's great. I'm in support of it as long as it's working with administration. So. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, Paula.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter. Aye. Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to superintendent consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
To approve as presented.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Paula, could you call the roll?
Sluter.
Aye.
Kilgore. Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh. Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to board consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Approve the board consent agenda.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Paula, could you call the roll?
Kilgore.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Barsh.
Aye.
Sluter.
Aye.
Swint.
Aye, motion carries. Due to the executive session that we have at the end of this meeting, we are going to go ahead and do the board debrief now. Mrs. Kilgore, I believe.
Yes. So we had a great presentation from Garden Valley. Kind of went over what's working well in her class and her school. She's done some great things. We had the audit is compliant, or it's in compliance review right now. So hopefully we have that at the next meeting. We had the K through 12, or not next meeting, sorry, June. We had the K through 12 summer school presentations, and that's great to see coming along and getting finalized. And then the scope results for 2026, excellent presentation, great to see up 9% for the iTrust communication received from the district, and then 8% increase in the level of feeling informed about topics that make me feel valued as an employee. Dr. Jameson was found to be in compliance with OE number 7 asset protection and results 2 for the education, special education. And then the approval to postpone the audit until June, and then motion approved for the board to be appointed, for the board to appoint the open seat here in the next board meeting. And then lastly is the motion to approve the RFP for the school pictures to the planning committee. Did I miss anything? Nope, you got it.
All right. Next up, we'll move into an executive session.
Can we have a 5-minute recess for a laboratory?
Yes, Mr. Arnold, could you stay for a few minutes for the executive session? We'll keep you very short, just for a few minutes. My apologies, I meant to tell you before. Yes, we will go to recess for 5 minutes.
Yes.